Yeah, well, the first thing about Blackie O'Donnell, you know, my long-time friend, collaborator, Barry Blackie O'Donnell. I mean, most people, of course, the thing that comes to mind, of course, is the black hat, the black chef's hat. Blackie being the first, the first chef or cook really to don the black cap. But the first thing that you've got to understand about Blackie is that Blackie was he never tried to become a celebrity cook, a celebrity chef. He just wanted to, just sort of go and do his work as a chef and go home, have a few drinks and save up for a holiday if he could. That's about all his ambition. He was probably never going to be a renowned cook, a renowned chef, celebrated chef. I mean, the food that he put out, like, to be truthful, there was certainly other chefs around that could put out better meals than Blackie. It was this thing that Blackie, people just loved to watch him cook, and it just became it became initially as a whisper, you've got to come along to this restaurant, just watch this guy cook, and then it became a groundswell, and then, I mean, Blackie's just doing what he usually does, and people are driving for hours sometimes. People are queuing up outside just to come in and watch him cook. I mean, nothing like this had ever been experienced before, I don't think by anybody. I mean, that's what really sets Blackie. It wasn't so much the black hat, it was the fact that people just loved to watch him cook. He did not try and set out to be a celebrity cook, and it was just amazing. It created friction. There was often friction between him and other chefs working there because he was getting all this attention. There was friction between him and management of these establishments because even that they'd found more creative ways to make money and so forth. They were charging people these other things called booking fees and waiting fees, all this sort of stuff, where people would just basically come to these areas and watch Blackie cook. I mean, Blackie wasn't seeing a cent. He wasn't seeing a cent extra for bringing in that. I mean, he also, in addition, he brought in more people to have meals, of course, because that was one of the best vantage points you could get to watch Blackie cook was to get a spot at a table. And as I say, a lot of the owners and managements of these establishments he cooked at, I mean, they become very entrepreneurial in getting people in and basically finding ways to actually charge them to stand there and watch Blackie cook rather than just participate in a meal. It was amazing stuff. The thing about the black hat, and I find it kind a parallel with the little bit of parallel between Blackie and Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones in the way that I remember an interview what I saw with Keith Richards on TV, and he'd said that because you've got to remember that with the Rolling Stones, I mean, the bad boy image that they took on, that was something that they it was cultivated by their manager, but it was something that once they realised that they're probably going to get tagged with that bad boy image anyway, but they embraced it. Now, I mean, initially, if you saw, the really old film clips of the Rolling Stones, they were just dressed in little, nice suits and ties, like most of the pop bands were at the time. But I remember, Keith Richards saying, and this is about the time when you know, when I think he was over at, I think he might have been over at Mick Jagger's place, and they'd taken, they had taken a hallucinogenic drug, and they'd just been walking around or something, and they went back. They were going to have dinner and maybe some drinks or something, and then they had a raid by the police, and the police did find drugs which were illegal to have in your possession, and they did in fact do some time in jail, Keith and Mick. And I remember Keith saying in that interview, he said once he realised like he never wanted to have the black cat, but once he realised he was going to have it, he embraced it fully. And that was there's kind of like a parallel there with Blackie. Now, first of all, just like Keith, Blackie never set out to be controversial. Now, what happened, and this tells you a lot about Blackie's personality. He lived next door to in this block of units, and this guy next door was always tinkering. He's tinkering with motors. He's tinkering with what do you call it? Sewing machines. He was just tinkering with anything he'd get his hands on, vacuum cleaners and so forth. Anyway, this guy was he was spraying an engine or a radiator or a number of engines or radiators this day, and he's spraying in black enamel. Blackie had his white chef's hats up on the line. Of course, being a small block of units, they only got these small little back areas out the back, and the black enamel overspray had completely blackened one side of Blackie's white chef's hats. Now some people would have got really angry with the guy next door, shouted out to him or something, and said, you know, you owe me the cost of the chef's hats, you'll pay for them. Some people might have, you know, rang up the local authorities and say, you know, we want something done about this. Blackie being Blackie, he thought, well, they look a bit silly being white on one side and black on the other. Blackie just turned them all round the other way and just waited for this guy till he did some more black enamel later that day, and so he had a series of black chef's hats. Now, of course, he wore his black hat to work. Now, he really wasn't trying to be any controversial. He wasn't trying to be defiant. He wasn't trying to be rebellious. All the things that people, you know, think that Blackie had set out to be, but he never did. And he never realised it would kick up the fuss that he could virtually get. Well, he did. From that establishment, he basically got let go and put off and set on his way, and he just didn't realise that. And I mean, basically, he got a job the next day because he needed money, kind of thing. And again, he had an argument with another head chef or manager about, you know, the black cats, and he, as I say, but then once he realised that it was going to be this point of contention, and he really didn't think it needed to be, that's when he pushed it. That's when he started pushing it, and he started sort of saying, I'm here, you want me to work for you, I've got the black cat. And as I say, people were coming from everywhere just to watch Blackie cook, and the fact that he wore the black cat just made him even more famous. People actually wanted him to work for their establishments to get more people in. Then when there was too much friction, and then there was, between other staffs, they also had trouble with their regular customers not being able to get their regular table, all sorts of things, and then they moved back to Blackie on. So it was a thing where it had to move on and on and on, sort of thing. And as I say, metaphorically as well as literally, he learned to embrace the black hat, whereas say Keith Richards, he just metaphorically learned to embrace the black cat. So yeah, interesting times. I just basically met Blackie. I was just having a few drinks and ran into him. I really didn't. he was that quiet, and just blended into the hotel scenery. I really didn't know who he was, even though he had obviously came to fame by the time I met him. And yeah, we just had a few drinks, and we just sort of seemed to, we just seemed to have some, a little bit of a kindred spirit, I say, if you could sort of, if you could sort of come to that conclusion, just after a few drinks. But that's what it seemed to be. And Blackie started getting me jobs as to where he was working. And I say, he still was not a celebrity cook. People were just coming around to watch him cook. What happened, of course, and it's probably pretty famous now. I was in working in the same station as Blackie. Now, Blackie got on and myself, I've got to admit, we got on a brandy session. We basically the cooking brandy. We got into it a bit, and as Blackie said, he was swinging it down. He said, "Well, it's much better for this brandy. It's doing much better going down my throat than it is, pour it on a piece of steak and it just goes like in the." Anyway, that come to the attention of management. Blackie got moved, and I automatically went with him. I knew there was no job for me there if Blackie wasn't there anyway. And so we sort of had, we were tempted to basically hit the pub straight away and sort of, get stuck into a few drinks, but come up with the idea, well, we need money. So anyway, Blackie went down to one of the places that has some stoves and barbecues as a discount store, and they knew Blackie. They knew he was the famed chef with the black hat who was working up the road. And Blackie said, well, can we hire some equipment off you? And they said, no, you're just bring it, just bring it back in good condition, and we just don't want to, just bring it back at the end of the day, bring it back at close time. Anyway, so Blackie, so it was still morning by then. We set up equipment basically in a public area. Luckily, we didn't attract too much attention of the authorities, and we started doing cooking demonstrations. And we had a donation bucket. If you liked the show, you could put some money. So I mean, effectively, we were busking a la using cooking as the instead of the music. So cooking was the act, and well, actually, it's funny because we earned a lot more than we would have actually been in those few hours, and we would have earned back in the restaurant, which we're pretty stoked about. And that was the birth of celebrity cooking for Blackie and I. And again, over a few drinks, we just come up with the idea of the cooking circus, and started running with it, started approaching establishments and seeing if we could do cooking demonstrations there, and the name was the Cooking Service. Eventually, of course, we had to have it become a big, because Blackie, people knew who Blackie was, it started crowd, so we had to get booking agents and things like that. Things got a bit bigger. It became known as Blackie's Cooking Circus, which it probably should have been in the first place, because Blackie was the name that promoted the whole thing, and you need a name to promote things. So it became Blackie's Cooking Circus, and we played all around the place. Look, a lot of people say, look, I was there the night Blackie killed all the fish. Look, and no doubt that you were. I was there too. I was actually helping Blackie out in the kitchen, and in that particular establishment on that night, the entrepreneurial type of people that some of the people who run these establishments are. Of course, they'd actually adjusted the kitchen and taken out one of the walls, right, and moved some of Blackie's cooking equipment. And in doing so that people in the foyer could actually watch him cook. Now, but in doing so, his cooking equipment had come and they'd taken out this wall. His cooking equipment was now close to this really large fish aquarium, which was set up in the foyer of the hotel for decorative, ornamental purposes. So, and of course, everybody knew that Blackie, in addition to Black Cat, Blackie, like, everything turned up hot. Everything had to be quick. Everything had to be hot with Blackie's cooking. As I say, he would admit himself he was not the cook with the most finesse in the world. Anyway, so the fish were getting heat affected, of course, in this fish aquarium, and some had turned upside down. But I will tell you that as soon as Blackie realised what was happening, he was the first one to go and see manager and get myself and get a few others, and we got some trolley jacks out, and we moved the aquarium away from the cooking, because you couldn't shut down the cooking. There were so many people there to watch Blackie cook, this would have been a riot. So, and in addition to that, there was a guy who was owned an aquarium business who was just down the road, and he'd come in a few nights to watch Blackie cook, and he actually ran over to back down his shop, and he got some equipment and some some additives, some fish food and that, and he actually nursed some of the fish that had been heat affected, and they recovered. So look, I mean, yeah, I was there on the night that Blackie killed all the fish too, but you might more correctly say that on the night that Blackie killed some of the fish, because many of the fish were saved, sort of thing. What's the other myth? Oh, well, people come up to of course we did we played with the Blackie's Flying Blackie's cooking service all over the licensed establishments all over the country, and of course you have that famed the Feather and Tar hotel, which was like it was like a nurturing ground for young celebrity cooks coming up at the time. There was a few good ones that I saw there. I know, well, Blackie come along with me, and we saw a few different up and coming celebrity cooks perform there. And of course, it tragically but famously burnt to the ground. So leaving a hole in the celebrity cooking entertainment area, especially for the nurturing of young celebrity cooks. But it was famed, and then of course all the people who'd played there, not long before it burnt down, and those gigs that they did in celebrity cooking, they become very famed gigs. And anyway, look, lots of people would come up to both Blackie and me, and or individually, and they come and say, they say, yeah, man, I was there, mate. I was there. That was one incredible gig that you and Blackie did. At the Feather and Tar hotel, and they say, that was legendary. That was legendary. That gig that you did. Well, only thing with it, Blackie and I, we never played there. We never played there, but lots of people think that we did, and that they saw us there. But it's all pretty legendary now. Well, when did Scondy come? Well, first of all, Scondy. Everybody knew he was a flamboyant entrepreneur, multi-millionaire. Yeah, well, we saw this guy Scondy, coming to a couple of the Blackie's cooking circus gigs, and anyway, he wanted to meet us after a couple of his gigs. He'd come up and shake your hand and say, that's good gig you just did, fellas. So great stuff. And yeah, so we didn't think any more of it, and then Blackie got a call, and Squandy got hold of his number and gave him a call and said, I want to meet you and Collie, and you know, can you come to one of my places to lunch? And we thought, what's he want? I mean, does he want us to do, you know, like a celebrity cooking demonstration, you know, at a private function? You know, that's what a lot of people did. And look, when we certainly needed the money back then, and we used to do those things. And you know, they could get a bit ugly though, because the lines get blurred when you're doing private. When you're up on stage at a hotel and you're doing your celebrity cooking, you know, you might have a couple of people come up and join in, and you can say, you know, let them go for a while, and then you just, you know, come on mate, yeah, get off the stage now, we've got our thing to do. You know, when you're at these private parties, sometimes there's more people up behind the cooking preparation bench than there is in front of it. It's yeah, it can get a little bit little bit difficult. So we thought, well, maybe that's probably what he wants, and you know, being the multi-millionaire, you know, we probably thought, well, it'll probably be a well-run gig and security, you know, good security and that, so should be fine. So we went up to Scondy's penthouse overlooking the harbour. You know, multi-million-dollar penthouse. You know, Blackie and I, what the hell are we doing here, kind of thing, you know. And anyway, Scondy, he served us drinks and lunch. Anyway, we're pretty impressed because he served it himself. He probably had somebody prepare it, but he didn't do the whole servant thing of having servants there prepare us drinks, which we thought was pretty cool. And then he said, well, I want you to win the Cooking World Cup for Australia. And because well, I mean, Australia had never even got into the top 32 before that, and it just wasn't something that was considered. And can talk more about that whole competition. Probably another thing was, I mean, establishments didn't even want to put forward their best cooks, because once attention had come to them, they got sort of snapped up by cashed up European and some cashed up Asian eating establishments would snap them up, and usually they'd go nowhere in the competition anyway. So yeah, well, we wondered why, and he said, well, yeah, well, this is I think Australia should be up there. I think I said, we know probably, you know, we're maybe not the right people. And he said, I think you're exactly the right people. And then he said, well, it's a three-man team. We haven't got a third member. And he said, well, I'm going to leave that up to you to find the third member. And we didn't have a clue how to go about finding. I mean, there's plenty of very, you know, highly qualified and prestigious chefs and cooks about, but we didn't know how to do that. Anyway, one night we were having a few drinks in at this restaurant and bar, and Blackie and I at the bar, and we looked into the restaurant, and there was a bloke sitting down with his partner, with his wife, and there's a bit of an argument happening with the with the waiter, and then the chef come out and everything, and the guy, he seemed to have a European accent, and probably sounded a little bit French. And we could hear the head chef come out and said to him, "Hey, Frenchie, if you think you can do that meal better than me, you can go for it, mate." Anyway, we were surprised. This guy said, "I will." And so he went in and he cooked the meal himself, and then sat down and ate it. And yeah, Blackie said to me, "I think that guy looks like Jean-Claude Van Pan, you know, the famed Belgian celebrity chef." And said, "Yeah, well, maybe it is." Anyway, went over and had a chat and got him got him over for a few drinks and had a bit of a chat to him. And again, it was that kind of, I mean, even though, I mean, his pedigree of craftsmanship and cooking and finesse and that was so superior to mine, and superior as well to Blackie's. But again, sort of almost had that kindred spirit bonding kind of thing, and he told us he'd taken out Australian citizenship recently, so he's now a dual citizen of Australia and Belgium, so that helped him qualify for the Australian cooking team, and that was it. And Scondy took him on board, and we went for it. I mean, none of it would have happened without Scondy. He just had the enthusiasm, and he was just going like a train. You know, I'm going to go like a train, and I want you guys to follow me. And and he did and it was great having Scondy because he did most of the interviews, he did all that stuff for us, and we weren't really expected to do any better than any other Australian team before us, and to get in a final and then actually ultimately win the World Cup for Australia, that's something I won't forget. And it was a great experience, and it couldn't have been done, one, without Scondy to have the enthusiasm to go for it, two, without Blackie, his cool, calm leadership, and to have the creative genius and finesse of Jean-Claude Van Pan. And I was surprised that I mean, we got into the semi-finals and we faced very strong Italian team who'd won cups before, had been in finals. It was a team effort. We got past them, and then what was really surprised, like the English team, they surprised us that they surprised everybody that they were expected to do better than us in the competition, but they were never expected to make the final either. And I mean, they faced in their semi-final, they faced the French team, who were just absolute superstars of celebrity cooking competition, and they just literally blew them out of the kitchen. They were just so disciplined and tough, and just looking at how they blew them out of the kitchen like that, I just wondered whether we had what it takes to take them out, but we did. Sledging did go on. There was spoiling tactics. Well, the thing is that it didn't take that much, because Blackie called him Rambo, right? I called him Gordo, and Jean-Claude Van Pan called him Mr. Rambo, and all three names seemed to totally infuriate him so much. So it really didn't. People said about sledging. I mean, that's really all it really took to just set things alight, and didn't they set alight in that final? It was a tough battle. It was all six of the contestants needed hospital treatment after that cooking match. It was something else, and sort of thing. You won't really forget. Well, Blackie passed on, and tragically, died in this. He died alone in the hotel room. There's been enough said. There's been enough written about it. Enough conjecture. Enough hypothesis. I guess only Blackie will really know for sure what happened. But look, if I could change just one thing, that would be that Blackie was still around. Okay, thank you.